Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you once again. Thanks a lot. Oh, you're very kind to me. I just want you to understand me. I beg for understanding. I'm a pissed off motherfucker. Very angry guy. But you know that. But what I need you to really understand is I'm not angry at you. I'm angry for you. Huge difference. I want you to consider me your anger manager, your anger point man, your anger shaman, if you will. The one who looks off into the darkness, the sucking maw of the abyss, and sees bullshit there, a lion motherfucker there, and that fucking guy over there. And you see nothing. You're like, there's nothing there, Henry. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a whole lot of shit. And how come I can't see it and you can? Well, it's not that you're not aware. It's not that you're not switched on. It's just that you have one thing that I lack, a life. And so you have shit you need to do. You're out, you're moving uptown, you got stuff to do. Me, I just sit on my ass all the time, have a lot of time just to go like, aha, ha! And I make little notes about it, and I get up on stage and I vent. And so there it is. I'm a pissed off guy. I've decided, fuck it, there it is. And for years I tried to fix that. Like, I'm a very angry guy. Maybe I should go tree hugging or hacky sack kicking or sit on some hilltop and meditate. And then I see so much bullshit in the world, mine, yours, everybody else's. I just go, fuck it. I'll just be pissed off and try and live a few extra years by keeping my blood thin with rage. But there will be times this evening in the 9-10 hours we have together where you and I will disagree on stuff, and that's okay. In that I'm not. It's not like we're going to have big disagreements. Like I'm pro pedophile. And you'll have a problem with that. It's not like I'm like Mr. Child Abduction, and you're like, hey, fuck you. We'll disagree on other stuff, like minor points, where I'll say, that's bullshit. And you're like, well, I kind of like that record. And I'll go, well, okay. But so it's nothing like we have to throw rocks at each other's heads. We can be cool. We'll just be in disagreement. We can both be right. But I'm louder than you for now. So there it is. And so I have found people around me, people who are like my age, ancient, they seem to be mellowing out as they get older. Their asses are expanding, and they're getting in touch with the Sting catalog, and they're just really embracing kind of like a more suburban, mellowed out kind of existence. And I just seem to get more and more pissed off as I go. And maybe that's just, maybe I'm just against the curve. Because the last time I was here, I just hit 40, which was interesting, becoming like a bona fide adult. And now I'm 42. And it's interesting, you hit 42, it's not really a relevant age, it's just what happens after 40 after a while. And it's interesting now, because my shit has entirely changed. My face has changed to such a degree that when I go into countries and they hold my passport up and look at my face on the passport and look at the face that I've got on my skull right now, they're like, come with us. I go, what? Like, you're an imposter. You're not that guy. This guy has brown hair. You're gray. You're shriveled up. You're old. And they have to, look, he has a lower intestine. We knew it. Come on in. And so everything has changed. And you hit 42, people don't even ask you what your age is. They just look at you and they go, oh, you're ruined. You're like, yeah, because it's so many things at age 42, so many things are over. And when you're a young guy and you're heterosexual, you're young and you're checking out women, you can't help it. Every woman, every girl looks good to you and you're just checking them out. And you stand there and they're parading by and, you know, summertime, it's looking good, everyone's kind of half dressed and you're like, all right. And women see you, the young guy, checking out their ass or whatever bit of pudenda, you look it up, whatever bit of the naughty bits that you're interested in, and they take it as kind of a compliment. Even if they don't dig you, they dig the fact that you're kind of going like, You hear my tribal drum beat of my heart, that's for you, baby. You know, and you can kind of, there they go. And these women walk by and go, oh, look, that weird motherfucker fancies me, oh, cool. And they don't feel threatened by it. They kind of go, yeah, well, he's never going to get it, but still it's kind of nice, you know. And then you hit 42, and you kind of change, and you still have interest in women. And then you look at them, and the way my face sits on my skull now, I can no longer look at them, leer, is the operative word now. I look at him and I'm trying to be unthreatening. Everyone looks at women. Women look at women. I mean, women are poetry in motion as they walk by. And so it's a nice day. The women are walking by and I'm looking like, gosh, shucks, gee whiz, mama. You know, and they're going by. I'm rated G. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just looking. But the way my face sits on my skull at age 42, it is a leer. And as much as I'm trying to be like, it comes off like... And women walk by and your gaze, your leer hits them like a fist in the side of their rib cage. And they can actually feel your leer. And they kind of go, and you're like, no, oh, fuck. I go, there's a horrible lech over there. He's leering at me. You're cuffed and taken away. I wasn't leering. You're leering, you bastard. You're 42-year-old you. And so that's it for me. I'm one of those guys who looks at women now, leers at them, and wonders if I'm old enough to be their father. That's the weird thing. At my age, you clock women like, could I be your father? Oh, God. And what does that make you when you look at women that you could be the father of? That makes you some kind of weirdo lech who should have a trench coat and no pants on. Hey, check this out. You ever see one of these? I mean, yeah. And so I am not like that. But I'm kind of being shoved into that. And so at age 42, I no longer fondle women. I grope them. Come here! I no longer date women. I abduct them. I use cunning. I use stealth, roofies, duct tape, stacks of 20s. I get out of the ATM, and my new and only pickup line I've ever had, I drive down streets in Los Angeles and wave the stack of 20s I got out of the ATM at any woman standing on any street corner. Hey! Get in! I'm not a cop! And so here I am, 42, waving money at women, having to pay now, having to order them out of the back of magazines. They come from Russia and Thailand and in wooden boxes, and you pry them out, you rip the duct tape off their mouths and hose them off, and believe everything I tell you. Go ahead. And so anyway, there it is. You know, I'm 42 and I'm just pissed. And like I said, not at you. Basically, I'm pissed off at a lot of the same things that you're pissed off about. And it's symptomatic of any city, anywhere where people are breathing. And the things that piss me off that probably piss you off too: complacency, mediocrity, ignorance. That's the one in bold uppercase, ignorance, because ignorance is the thing that keeps us from having the 24/7 Funkadelic Ramones block party that we could all be grooving. And it's always those kind of mediocre slobs who are in your way, the homophobes, the racists, you know, people who are just nasty and don't want to get down. And those are always the people in front of you in traffic who can't drive. Those are always the people in front of you in a line. Have you ever noticed in any line you stand in, you never have any time? You're on a lunch break, you're on something, you're looking at your watch, okay, I got 43 minutes before I have to go back to the salt mines. I'll get in this line and do my thing. Fuck, and the line is like going through, it's like a funnel, molasses at like 30 degrees, like, boom, you're like, fuck, 38 minutes, fuck. And everyone ahead of you doesn't seem to be angry that the line is moving slow. And you're the only person, like, fuck. Hurry the fuck up! And everyone else around you just seems to be like just dopey and dreamy, and they're happy to be in a line, it seems. Wow, it's moving slow. Cool. And they're just happy about it. And you're like, what the fuck? Am I the only alive person in this building? It could be. And this is the kind of shit that makes me more and more angry the older and older I get. Because I think in 2003, there's really no excuse for your ignorance, for your mediocrity, for your complacency. When you have access to something like the internet, and all of you do, who want to, you know, it's not like no one will give you a computer. It's not like you can't get to one immediately. And do you ever remember what it was like to have a question, some kind of query before you had access to the internet? I've only had a computer on the internet for, I don't know, like 10 years, 8 years or so, but I can barely remember what it was like to want to know something and not be able to go to a search engine and find it. If you ever wanted to know about the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty or something, some Cold War factoid, pre-internet access, you go like, I wonder what SALT really means strategic arms limitation talks. And then you have to like, fuck, do I have to go to the library? Do I have to haul down like dusty tomes off shelves and go analog and actually open the pages and write shit down? And you never get to the library. I don't want to know that much. I kind of want to know, but... and your ass weighs 80 pounds and it sinks you into the couch and the remote finds itself into your hand and you're watching TV all day. But now, with the internet, you just type in Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. 9 fan club websites, recommended reading lists, people's poetry about the Strategic Arms Limitation talks, children's crayon renderings. I mean, there's, and like so much shit you can find out. What excuse do you have not to know the things you want to know? And what trips me out is to run into people who don't want to know stuff. People who don't want to read books, people who don't want to go to an art exhibit, people who don't want to see an interesting film, an interesting documentary, people who don't want to know what's going on around them. They don't want to know how their government works. They don't know why these decisions are made in their own country. They're just happy to take this kind of mediocre second gear ride all the way through life. I don't understand that. And these are the people who become part of a problem and not part of a solution. And if you are a conscientious, switched on person, which I know all of you are, this is the kind of thing that gets in your way, whether you know it or not. These are the brambles in the thicket that trip you up. These are the stones in your pathway. This is what separates us from the Funkadelic Ramones 24/7 block party of which I speak, is that kind of mediocrity and that I don't care, I don't want to know. And I can dig that from a 70-year-old. If you're 80 years old and your asshole's falling out, and your balls are in your socks and your tits are in your pockets, and you're old and you know you can't shit, you can't eat without help, you can't walk around, you can't dance anymore. I can dig it if someone goes, hey, you want to know about this thing in history? No. I just want to shit today. Leave me alone. I can dig that. But if you can still ambulate, if you can still articulate, if you can still speak and think, why don't you want to know stuff? Have you ever had the experience of going into a bookstore and seeing all those wonderful books all over those shelves and want to read every single one? Have you ever been interested in, like, I want to read all the Russian authors this year. I'm going to read Tolstoy. I'm going to read Gogol. I'm going to read all those motherfuckers. And you get to the bookstore and you see they've all written like 9,000 pages of stuff. You're like, fuck. But I want to read, oh, look at all those history books. Oh, look at books on film, oh, art books. And you just stand there, you're like, if I can't read them all, I don't want to read any. If I can't drink the entire ocean, I don't want to drop. And you walk out of there just like screaming at the lady behind the counter, fuck you and all your information. Ah! That's how I am. If I go to one country, I want to go to all the countries around that country. If I hear one song I like by someone, I want to read every critical biography about this person, hear every demo tape. I want to interview them. I want to know what they ate on Thursday, July 15th of like 1978. I want to know everything. And it turns you into kind of a psychomaniac, and people think you're nuts. They go like, how come you want to know so much shit? Because life is short. And human beings are fragile. Human life is fragile. It's easy for humans to die. There's some human beings on the planet who have this arrogant thought that they are somehow some badass. You'll hear a lot of rap songs about the guy saying how, you know, he slaps 4 women per song, shoots 8 people, and, you know, his dick is 4 yards long. Like, that would be of some kind of help to you. And they're like, you know, fuck you, I can do this. And like, wow, that's the top of the food chain talking to you. And that's where we reside, at the top of the food chain. And all of you, you're Australian. I mean, come on, you know about aspects of nature that can kill your ass. And that's why you can understand this, because you live in a country where you must hail and respect and fear Mother Nature. You go swimming, we might not see your ass again. You go camping over here, a crocodile goes like, ha, lunch, wham, gone. The snakes you have in this country, they bite you, you get 4 steps, your fucking heart stops, your lungs collapse, you're like, boom, you're dead. You all know this. Every 3rd TV show on Australian television is a documentary about crocodiles or sharks, because they want every visiting person, don't go in the water here, do what the lifeguard tells you, stay behind the fucking net, don't go over there, it's not a log, it's a crocodile, it's eating your whole fucking family, you tourist, you. And where I come from, where I live in Los Angeles, the only thing you have to look out for is like lawyers, boob jobs, they'll give them to you in your sleep if you're not careful. You know, and some kind of mugger. You don't have to be worried about like, a shark! Not really, because the sharks won't come in to the California coastline because they don't want to eat condoms and floating garbage. They stay away. They stay away so they can eat clean seals. And so I reckon that human beings should be more humble and realize that life is really delicate and really precious. And it makes me wonder why in 2003 we could have a war. It just blows my mind that adult human beings can still go, we can't, we've run out of ideas, we'll have a war. And this is the kind of shit that really makes me angry. And it makes you angry too. And that's why I'm saying I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the thing that keeps us from having way too much fun. And so the older I get, the more of it I see. And I think probably the same for a lot of you. You expand your vision as you get older. You see that it's not all about you. It's about a whole bunch of other people under the sun trying to get through. And you realize that you got to be really cool, really tolerant, especially in these turbulent times we live in. And so I just wanted to quickly read you this thing. I do a lot of email interviews because it's handy. They can get to me quickly. I type out the thing. I do like 300 or 400 interviews every single year. A lot of them I do with university students, college kids. And I hate to generalize. Well, actually, I like generalizing because you can save a lot of time and take gratuitous swipes at people who don't deserve it and have a fucking lot of fun. Like, all these people over there are a bunch of dicks. Anyone with a mullet is a fucking moron. And you can have fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's never right, but it's really fun. But I have noticed, and I speak to a lot of university students, I have never met, as far as one demographic, a more switched off group of people as I have found in college students. I figured if you're of college age, and I remember when I was of college age, it's like 1858. It's a long time ago, long time ago. And I remember waking up every morning, in my late teen years when you're about university age. I would wake up every day furious, angry, horny, judgmental, and argumentative. Every single day, I'd wake up, stiff dick, stiff middle finger. As you should. And if anyone said anything to me, tomorrow's Thursday, bullshit! Look at the calendar. All right. Okay. And I wanted to know. I didn't even read books. I just tore the pages out, ate the pages, and threw the cover out the window like an orange peel. I just wanted to know. And if I figured if I could have 40 years at a university with all that's asked of you is to show up and learn, what a privilege. What a heaven on earth. I'm young, I can survive on 4 cups of noodles a year, and all I have to do is sleep 40 minutes a year, and I get to go here for 4 years, learn and screw. Fucking bring it. Sounds like the best thing. I can learn, I can get laid, and I can survive on 40 minutes of sleep a year. Yeah. And why would you turn off? Why would you turn your life into some kind of hippy-dippy, mellow, non-opinionated 4-year holiday of just neural turnoff? I don't get it. And so I do interviews with students all the time. I talk to college students, and I figured they would be trying to take me into some kind of intellectual Enter the Dragon. We're like, have you read this? Have you read this? Have you read this, you dumb old man? And I want someone to teach me a thing or 20 because I still have a brain that works and I want to learn more stuff because there's a lot of interesting things to learn. And so I talk to these students. I go, so what have you read lately? What are the 9 books you read yesterday? I don't really read. Stop playing with your beard! Wow, why are you so intense? Why are you so fucking switched off? You're 18 years old. You're supposed to be kicking my ass. Why am I 400 years old and I'm more intense than you? Well, I don't know, man. Just want to lead them around by that thing in their tongue. Come here! And so I get really angry with these people. And so 3 years ago when I was really mellow, like when I was in my mellow 30s, I would have been nicer to these people, but now that I realize that time is short and life is precious, and I'm the anger shaman of the world, I go at these young people with zero restraint factor, and they hate my guts. But they'll see when they're my age and your ass hurts and your knees hurt and your ball sack is descending down your leg a quarter inch a year. They'll see, they'll see that I was trying to do them a favor. And so I got this interview. I don't have a printer with my laptop, so I had to hand write it, and that endearing. This guy wrote me a 7 question interview, and by questions 6 and 7, his little brain kind of ran out of gas. And he asked me these questions. And when I was young and really mellow, I would have been nice to this guy. And now that I'm old and mean, I just ripped this guy a new one. And maybe I shouldn't have been so mean, but fuck it. And so I said what I said, and I hit enter, and it went away. And it's like sitting on some university website, I'm sure, with, well, they can't even bother to access it. You know, they're just so complacent. You know, they're like, oh, what a mean guy. And I'm not mean. I'm just fucking, I'm alive. Therefore, I'm pissed off. And so these questions from a fucking college student, a child would not be even made to ask questions like this. I mean, these are incredible. I know kids. I don't have any, but I dig them. They're great. I don't want any kids because I see what it does to people. It keeps them at home a lot, and I'd rather just be able to leave. Well, no, if I was a dad, I'd be all over that kid. What'd you learn in school today? What'd you read? What are you listening to? Dad, get off my shit. You know, I wouldn't be on tour every year. So I don't dig the parent scene for myself. But a lot of people I know are turning into breeders. You know, they're moving out to the suburbs and they're getting wide-hipped and they're dropping frog spawn every spring. And it's just true. And so I'm now around a lot of kids. And, you know, a lot of kids, you know, they see some people and they walk right up. They go, you smell funny. I mean, they'll tell you exactly what's up. You smell old. Your mouth smells old. You have old person breath. You're like, am I allowed to hit little kids? You don't know. And so some people, they have different responses with kids. Like some kids walk up to some people and they don't dig them. They hide behind their mom's legs, they cringe. Other people, kids walk up, they look at them, they don't care. And then there's a select group of people on the planet. Little kids see them and they just go apeshit. They see the person's ears as something to swing from, as the nose as something to hit, the head something to vault off of, the hair something to rip out in clumps. This is how kids see me. I don't get it, but they see me and it's like, ah! And they just attack me. And so wherever I go and I meet kids, they're usually battering me by the second hour. And I have this interesting relationship with my manager's children. One is 6, the little girl is 6, the boy is 8. And I've known them since they were like uninteresting blobs in blankets. You know, the first 8 months are just kind of, you know, they just sleep and eat and drool and they don't have a personality yet. Then they catch on and all of a sudden they're chasing you around and they're really funny and they're really cool because they're direct line. They're honest. They tell you what's up. And so I visit these kids when I'm in Los Angeles between tours. It's the only people who call me at home. I got a house I live in, and on the weekends the phone never rings because I'm dysfunctional. I don't know anybody. But these two little maniacs know how to use the telephone, and it's the only people who call me. And on Saturday the phone will ring like, "Hi, come over." And I'll try to explain to the boy that I'm really busy. I'm on the internet. I'm solving problems. And he knows me. He goes like, "No, you're not. You're 42. You don't know anybody. You're totally dysfunctional. You have no friends. You're not doing anything. You're sitting in your underwear dicking around on eBay. Come over." Like, he got me. And I go, "You really want me to come over?" He goes, "Yeah!" And a little kid wants me to come over. I'm nearly in tears. I'm coming. And so a couple of months ago, I had like a day and a half off in Los Angeles because I was touring through there. And so I get back to the house and the phone rings. It's the little boy. He's like, "Come over." I went, okay, haven't seen the guy for a while. So I drive up and me and this kid, like some of you hang out with kids, right? You have that ritual, you have that thing you do every time you see him. It becomes kind of the thing you do. Me and this kid have a ritual of things. So I pull up in the driveway and I get out of the car. He's hiding behind these bushes, thinking I can't see him. He thinks he's like ninja. But really, he's all shaking. The bushes are shaking. I'm like, "Gee, where's the little maniac?" And that's his cue to go, "Ah!" And he comes running out with his arms open, yelling my name. "Henry!" I am nearly in tears. Because this child does not know, like you all know, what a fucker I really am. But he doesn't know, and all he sees is his friend Big Henry. And I am a real son of a bitch. But you know something? All of a sudden this boy's calling my name and gosh, I'm not all that bad, am I? A little boy wants to put his arms around me. I'm like, thank you. thank you for redeeming me, little 8-year-old boy. And finally, I'm hanging out with someone who's actually shorter than I am, so I can kneel down, and I open my arms. Here he comes. Henry! I'm like, God, this is so fantastic. Now I see why people have children, so you can come home from work and get out of your car, and your son will go run up to you and put his arms around you. By golly, I love it. And so I'm like, it's the big guy! And I forget the ritual because I've been away for so long. He runs up to me, and at the last possible second, he folds up his pudgy right hand into a little fist, and he goes, BAM! Right in my nuts. Drops me like a bad habit, right on the ground. And so he's able to the little right, he's able to trap my left ball between his chocolate-packed little fist and my nut and my leg. Bam! It hurts like a motherfucker. And all of you guys have been kicked, flicked, or bumped in the balls. I don't know if you women, I hope you women do not have corresponding anatomy that feels the same kind of horrible ache. I hope you don't, because it is traumatic. And all of you guys know the pain of which I speak. And so this kid nails me perfectly, just drills me. And there's that moment where you get hit in the balls and you have to assess, how bad is it going to be? Because there's this moment where the pain just sits there. And then it starts moving slowly from the actual ball up into your body cavity. And it will rest right here for about a second. And you're sitting there going, okay, don't move, don't move. Because if it just stays there, you'll be able to walk it off. But if it moves up to your belt line and stops again, then you're in for the long afternoon of discontent. Because it kind of hovers there, then it radiates outwards and goes backwards towards your spine. And that's when you go from ow, ow to ooh. And you can't really use your legs. Your legs get very weak, and you have to lie down on the ground very gently. And this has happened to some of you guys. You're like, ow, ow, oh, no, no, no. And so this kid has hit me, bam, right in the ball. And so I'm like going down, and the whole time I'm trying to be like the good Uncle Henry character, like, you shouldn't do that to people. That's not nice. And I'm trying to give him advice, you know, as he's beating the shit out of me. And so now I'm on the ground in the fetal position, kind of like, ooh. This is his opportunity to run around behind me and start drop kicking me in the rib cage. And the more I'm like, boom, 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 like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I go, don't, you shouldn't do that. Boom. He's picking up momentum now. He's just like working me over. I'm getting this ankle-biting, booger-eating Gestapo beatdown in the driveway. Just like, bam, bam. And the sound of his little club foot hitting my rib cage has awoken his little ferret-like sister from her sleep. And she wakes up with her little feral fangs, you know, glistening in the afternoon sunlight. And she runs outside to see her older brother working me over. She's like, and she thinks she must help him. So now I've got these two little psychopathic midgets like working me over. I'm like, ow, don't do that. Then the mother comes out. Oh, hi, I see the kids have found you. And she doesn't say anything like, stop kicking the old man. Nothing like that. Just like, oh, hi, how are you? And I'm helped to my feet. I'm gently walked in, and I sit down on the couch like, oh. Now it's time to play the next game. And the next game is like these two little psychos get on either side of my face, and they have their cakey, chocolatey, little phlegmy mouths next to my ear. They go, pretend you're asleep. I go, okay. Gee, I'm so tired. I'm asleep. And I hear this. 1, 2, 3. Hey! They scream as loud as they can into my ear from like half an inch away. And my job is to go like, who woke me up? Who woke me up? And they're like, pretend you're asleep. And we do this for like 2 hours until my middle ear has been destroyed. And I have like howling tinnitus out of my right ear that like, you know, wails like a banshee 24/7. And so we finish that, and now it's time for some other torture thing to go on. Oh yes, it's time for the daughter to paint my nails. and put makeup on me. So I'm sitting on this like child's like lavender stool, and I have like the lamest colors. I mean, what color would I look good with nail polish? I mean, no color would really suit me. Nail polish wouldn't really rock a guy like me. So I'm getting pink, and she's doing designs, and I'm just taking it. And it's real nail polish, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it off later. And so I'm letting her do that. She's putting makeup on me, and she thinks it's really funny. And then she's like the little actress. She stands back and go like, ah! And she has tears coming out of her face. Henry hit me in the face. I'm like, oh no, I'd never hit a kid. Come on. Not even if he was a Republican, I wouldn't hit the little fucker. And so the mother comes in like, whoop, 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 maternal instinct. She comes in with like a dough roller to hit me upside the head. What happened? I'm like, and like she has tears going. I mean, she should get an Academy Award for this. I am standing there looking like some weirdo transvestite. I'm drying my nails, going, I didn't hit her. She's like, oh, I know, don't worry about it. She looks at me like, Mom, the tears on, off. And so I'm sitting there with my makeup on and my hair and my nails all done, and then I'm allowed to have food. And that's why I go over to endure the wrath of the little maniacs. Because my manager gets 15% of my action, but they give me dinner, so I try and eat it back. And so I'm shoveling succotash into my face as fast as I can. And so I'm eating, I'm getting some money back, good for me. And I haven't eaten in a day and a half, so I'm shoveling away. And that's when it's time for the little boy to do the most insidious thing he does. There I am, concentrating on the food, my face is about here. He takes that insidious right chocolate-coated fist, and he goes straight like this, and he goes, and he hits me in the face. He sucker punches me right across the bridge of my nose. I hear an audible pow as my nose comes out of joint. You get hit in the sinus cavity, you start tearing up. Tears are streaming out of my face going into my food. He's like, I made you cry. And I'm like, no, you did not make me cry. You're crying. I am not crying. Do you hear me going, like your little sister, the actress? No, you don't. It's because you hit me in the sinus cavity area. The natural response is to tear up because the body is slightly traumatized. And I'm trying to explain the effect of hitting something and tear ducts. And he's like, I made you cry. I'm like, you did not make me cry. I am getting into a fucking argument with an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old has just punched a guy with tattoos and a thick neck and is making him cry. He is now king of the hill. He's put me to the ground. He has now broken my nose. I am crying into my food. He's like, I'm number one. So the last time I was there a few weeks ago, I asked the maniac's sister, I said, describe your older brother in one sentence, go. And she said, my older brother's a big fat lunatic. Bam, this came right out of her mouth. When was the first time you used the word lunatic in proper context in a sentence? 28, 30 years old? I mean, come on. The chick is 6. I remember myself when I was 6. I would not have been able to say, if I had a brother, my older brother is a big fat lunatic. Wow. I was so impressed. I'm like, you're 6? Yes. You just said lunatic. Yes, I know. I'm like, that is so impressive. She said, thank you. I said, why did you thank me 3 times? She said, I thank you the first time for your compliment on me utilizing the word lunatic correctly in a sentence. I thanked you a second time for you being so stupid. And I thanked you a third time for you being so idiotic. And with that, she left the room, walked down the hallway, went into her own bedroom, and shut the door. She was done with me. I was dissed and dismissed by a 6-year-old. I am not going to take this shit. So I follow her to her room like, what? I said, that's it? That's all I get? You make fun of me and you leave? Yes. I go, are you kidding me? You're done with me? Yes, I'm online. I'm trading stock. Will you please leave me alone? Okay, these 2 kids, any 8-year-old or 6-year-old, would not be bothered to ask me questions this stupid. This could only come from a college student, okay? I know I tied a bit of a long tail onto the end of this kite. I'm very sorry. But here's question 6 out of the possible 7 questions this guy asked me before his little brain conked out and something else became far more interesting to do. College, remember? Yes. If you were a crayon, you see what I'm talking about? If you were a crayon, what color would you be and why? Yeah, I know, it's college for fuck you is what it is. So I answered, whatever color your blood is. So I could write on your dorm wall, quote, mommy raised a pig, quote, so she'd know you were dead. I know it's a little fucked, but fuck it. Okay, thank you. Here's question 7, another 2-part question. Starts with a little bit of promise, goes very horribly wrong. I answered the questions and asked a question of my own, and I've not yet heard back from this guy. It's been a couple of weeks, and so I don't think he's ever going to get back to me. Anyway, question 7. What would you invent, and what are your thoughts on the spork? Okay, hold your water. Wait a minute. The spork. Yes, all of you know what a spork is, except for the 1 or 2 of you who have been somehow spirited away from the real world. The spork is a hybrid utensil that utilizes what is good about a spoon and a fork. You can see what it looks like in your mind right now. It's a spoon with fork tines on the end. All of you have utilized the aforementioned utensil at some party, some kind of picnic. And what is good about the spork? The upside of the spork is that we return 1 utensil back to the environment instead of 2. Less plastic in the environment, we like this. None of you have ever held the spork aloft and went, wow, now that's some really good ergonomic thinking. I wonder when this was invented. I wonder who invented this. And what do they call it? None of you ever went over to that box that said 25 count spork and held the box and went, oh, spork. What does that mean? Oh, wow. So, yeah, duh. And none of you want to know what anyone thinks about the spork. Not Hitler, not Alexander the Great, not Iggy Pop, and certainly not me. And so this college boy does. So basically, he is insulting me. So I took the insult, and like Joe Strummer taught me, when I get aggression, I give it 2 times back. I've slightly changed the attitude. I've ramped it up to 5 times back. It suits me better. So anyway, to recap, what would you invent, and what are your thoughts on the spork? I would invent something to kill boredom. And the spork? The spork is the utensil I leave embedded in your forehead after I've written in blood-colored crayon on your wall. And this was my question back to him. Why are so many of you college kids so timid and intellectually incarcerated? You're taking 4 years of your daddy's hard-earned to do what? Ask me about a spork? Fuck you. Thank you very much. You're very kind. Not to over-labor the point, and I know, I don't even assume, I know that all of you have been watching, what do you call it when you bomb a country that didn't bomb you first? Can you really call it a war? What do you call it? Don't yell at it once, but it's kind of corny to call the thing in Iraq a war. World War II, that's a war. Boy, that's a war. I mean, Hitler, bad guy. He sucks. He's building death camps. He's no fun at all. Yes, bad. We must make him stop. That's a war. I am not pro Saddam Hussein. I can't wait to see his head on Donald Rumsfeld's dinner plate. Okay, he's a murdering motherfucker. I hate him, and I hate his horrible son, Uday Hussein. I can't wait for them to be either in holes in the ground coffins or even better yet, in The Hague going up against war crime trials. That's what I want. So I'm not pro Saddam Hussein. I am pro-Iraqi in that I want Iraqis to have clean water and hospitals that work, just like I want you and me to have hospitals that work and clean water. So I think most Iraqis are probably just people trying to get through life. They hate Saddam Hussein too, so they can't say anything because back when he was running things, they would disappear in the night if they so much as said anything, very much a la the horrible regime of Joseph Stalin. And so Allied forces went in and did this whole thing, and I don't know what you call it, but it's not really a war, because a war is when two people kind of go, fuck you, oh yeah, fuck you, come on, bitch. The thing with Iraq was just like, show us your shit. We don't have any shit. Show us your shit. We don't have any shit. We're gonna come and kick your ass. We don't have any shit. Show us your shit. We don't have any shit. Time's running out for you. I know, you said that last week and the week before and the month before. Time's still running out. Time is still running out. How much more time do I have? I don't know, but it's running out. I'll get back to you. Yep, still running out. The president just said it's still running out. Why did he say that? Because he can. Because it's only a few words, and he can get them out, and then there's a period to stop. So all of you have an opinion on this thing, and it's as relevant and as well-informed, probably more well-informed than mine. So what am I going to say to you that will make you go, I never thought of that before? And I wouldn't dare to do that, so I won't. But I've been watching this thing, as you have, with certain degrees of interest, disgust, and curiosity. And I chose to watch the whole thing with my Shakespeare Dr. Strangelove sunglasses on. And all of you have seen Dr. Strangelove, I imagine. For those 8 of you who haven't, run, do not walk, and rent that one. You're going to love it. Easily one of the great films of the last century. And so anyway, I watch it because that kind of was this thing where you see gray-haired 4-star generals on news shows looking right down the barrel of the lens with no hint of irony or laughter at all. And they say words like, or terms like, bunker buster bomb. We're going to drop a bunker buster bomb on them. How old are you? What are you, fucking 9 years old? A bunker buster bomb is like when you take dog doo-doo and mud and put it in a bag and tie it in a knot and throw it at your friend's head. I just got you the bunker buster bomb. It just shows you how war is nothing but grown-up 8-year-olds in a sandbox going like, cut it out. Cut it out! And that's what this war was. We're going to drop a bunker buster bomb. Shock and awe. Moab, the mother of all bombs. Like, would you motherfuckers grow up? And to me, in 2003, this is just my opinion. This is that disagreement part. You might disagree with me. I say fantastic. To me, war is the utter nadir of humanity. It is the lowest low point, especially in 2003, where we are no longer putting leeches on people when they have a house cold. We are no longer burning bohemian warted women who live at the end of the block with a lot of cats as witches. We don't do that anymore, so why would we not be able to, as rational adults, knowing what we know, seeing what war has done throughout history, why would we have one now? Seems to me, to use kind of a corny analogy, the solution to a conflict like the thing that just happened in Iraq is the proverbial needle inside the huge haystack. And it's up to people with enough moral strength and intestinal fortitude to pull out every single piece of straw in that silo, looking for the needle, which is a non-lethal solution to this problem. And to me, war at this point is just people getting lazy. They've pulled out 900 pieces of straw. Boy, there's 80 million pieces of straw in here. We're never going to get to this solution. Yeah, you will if you just persevere. Well, I'm tired. Well, I want to see what the bunker buster bomb does. And to me, it was just like 81. 82, fuck it. My ass hurts, let's kill him. And that's what this thing was to me. It was just like people not taking the time to figure out a way not to bring in 750,000 troops into a country and beat the crap out of it. It was like Muhammad Ali against a titmouse. I mean, I'm not there again. I'm not pro Saddam. I'm just looking at this going, wow, how come we couldn't let Hans Blix have a few more weeks? That's what I could not understand. When you see a man like Hans Blix speak or a man like Kofi Annan speak, these are really articulate men who have seen a lot of conflict. It's their job. You do not ever call Kofi Annan or Hans Blix to give them Rolling Stones tickets. You do not call because you got a great ounce of killer weed. Like, yo, Kofi, come over, dude, we're fucking rocking. You never do this. Okay, you only call Kofi Annan when the Hutus are slaughtering the Tutsis or something horrible like that. The 3 a.m. call, hey Kofi, some over in the Balkans, man, it's really fucked. You got to get over there. Later, dude. Good luck. And so when Hans Blix says, hey, I need 3 more weeks, there you have this frat boy, cowboy president, George W. Bush, going, no, time has run out for this man. We will disarm this man. Why don't you just hold on a second, let the guys finish their little inspection thing, and then you can go in there with Old Testament fury and just hit them. No, time is running out. Time is running out. I'm like, you motherfucker. And so now that it's over, and now that we're mopping up, we can kind of look at the whatever happened in Iraq, the beatdown in Iraq. We can look at it in recap, and we can remember our most favorite moments and our favorite personalities of the conflict in Iraq. My favorite person, throughout my MVP for the entire Iraqi conflict, is Mohammed Saeed al-Sahaf. Yes, all of you know this guy. A more charismatic, optimistic man. You will be so hard-pressed to find someone who can turn a frown into a smile. A man who can take the bag of lemons and make a pitcher of lemonade. He was fantastic. I think everyone should be able to embody a little bit of that optimism, just to, like, you see something that's so horrible and go, you know what? By golly, it's not so bad. And they were letting him do press conferences right before he disappeared. They were fantastic. You know, Americans and British troops and Australians, the coalition of the willing, are overrunning Iraq like ants at a picnic. And there he is in front of like 30 microphones going, ha ha ha, the Americans came to Iraq to find their graves. Well, what about Saddam International Airport? The American forces have taken full control. Oh, yeah, right. They're running home to their hairy-teated mamas right now. Those bunch of pussies. Kiss my ass. Saddam International's open for business. Meanwhile, you cut to Saddam International Airport. Playboy helicopters are descending out of the skies. Playboy bunnies are going out. Someone taps Al-Sahaf on the shoulder and hands him a cup of Starbucks coffee from one of the 90 Starbucks that got built the day before. You see this swatch of gold, orange, yellow behind him. What's that? It's the first McDonald's arch getting carted in. America's moving in. And he's like, no, they're not. Everything is fantastic. We are kicking ass and taking names in Baghdad. And he's just amazing to me. You should take a guy like that and install him in any disaster area. Like in the summertime in America, in the Midwest, when hurricanes go ripping through towns and level every Hooters and every house in the whole county and destroy human lives, and cows get sucked up and thrown into Iowa City, and tractors and combines go all the way over to Colorado, and the whole place is reduced to like toothpick-sized pieces of wood and utter carnage, and there's people walking around, they can't find their family, like, my house is gone, oh, my shit is gone. You bring him in, and he walks around going, what? This is a fucking great day. My house is gone, my family is gone, my cow, my tractor, it's all gone, it's all gone. Oh, cheer up, it's around here somewhere. You're not gonna get a little tornado, you're not gonna let that bring you down, are you? Come on! There's no such thing as a tornado. I thought he was fantastic. He was my favorite guy because he made the war a win-win-win situation. America won, the Brits and Australians won, the Iraqis won. Everyone won this war if you listen to this guy, and if you listen to Tommy Franks and whoever represents whatever, everybody won. So it was kind of a good little conflict where everybody won. Yay! And what's the reaction as soon as you liberate a country? What do all the inhabitants of the country do? They loot and vandalize the shit out of it. Like, what happened to culture? It's really amazing to me. So I kind of watched the war like that, you know, with a certain degree of sadness, you know, seeing that it came to that. And when you have troops in the field, you obviously are rooting for the home team and you want them all to come home. And so I'm not exactly pro-war, but I'm pro-troops coming home without becoming buckets of steaming cranial matter with a thumb floating on top to be brought back to a mom. Here's your son. Sorry. You know, so I'm not into that, as you aren't either. So thankfully, it was over quickly, and maybe it will be a mission to liberate and restructure that country. It will be hilarious to see the arrogance of America fall flat on its face as they try to install a democracy in an Arab country. It'd be like trying to take, like make Ohio in America, which is kind of in the middle of the country. You know Ohio. Don't go there. It's a nice place. It's just really tough. But it'd be like making Ohio Islamic. It'd make it, Ohio a nation of like Islam, where all the rules are like that. You'd be driving through, and all of a sudden your wife has to cover up, and they want to take her clitoris and put it on eBay or something. You know what I'm saying? Tough town. And some people would have a problem with that. If you try and stick democracy in the middle of the Arab world, I just don't think that's going to work. And now they have some guy in there, no, not like that, like this. And I think there's going to be a lot of heartaches to come from that. So anyway, not to get into that, because I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So I've been kind of watching this and wincing more often than not whenever George W. Bush opens his mouth. And my main fear, it's kind of, it's like saying, does my ass look fat in this conflict? In that when he speaks and I cringe and you all laugh, I just hope that all of you are switched on enough to know that not everyone in America is like that guy. Because when he speaks, it's like he learned English phonetically. As if all the words in English are just sounds. And he puts one sound next to another sound, next to another sound, and if he says them in the right order, Condoleezza Rice gives him a biscuit. And you can actually, you see this vision of her having the president on one of those show dog leashes, running him around. Like, okay, up, good boy. And that's why our president speaks very haltingly. And you can almost hear the hard drive spinning down while he takes like 8 minutes to say one simple sentence. And he's incredible. Like when he was at that meeting of the Azores, that was amazing. They let him open it up because he's the American president, and there he is doing that. What I call I call it the what was my name? Oh yeah, the cards speech. He was like, France has shown their cards. They've shown their cards. We have a thing called show your cards. A thing called show your cards? No, we don't. We have a thing called show your cards, where you show your cards. And the cards are shown. And there they are. You see the line producer who has to feed this to television, looking at Tony Blair like, are you ready now? We are fucking dying. And Tony Blair's like, yes, hurry. Whip to Tony Blair. Now, I don't know what you all think of Tony Blair. Good guy, bad guy, I don't know. I don't really know the guy. I just know that when he speaks, I can understand what he means. Okay? So I kind of appreciate that. And, I don't know whether he's a good prime minister or a bad prime minister. My opinion doesn't matter. All I know is when he talks, I get it. And so I can agree or disagree with him because he makes himself very clear. He seems to know what the job of a politician is. It is to talk to people. People are your bread and butter. You spend most of your time, if you're a good politician, relating to human beings, the people who put you in office, the people who help you further your agenda and take them all to a better place than before you were in office. And so there he is speaking without using his notes. And he's just like speaking passionately about how Saddam Hussein must be removed for the good of Iraq and for the wealth and health of the world. This is a wonderful thing. And I'm kind of going, wow, I can dig this guy. And then, whoom, they whip back to President George W. Bush, and it's like, it's dum-dum time again. And we go back to like these 3-word sentences. Like, time is running out. Ooh, for this man. You're like, ah! And I just wonder if you all watch that and go, God, they're all stupid. But you know better. We're not all in the Klan. We're not all eating at McDonald's. We're not all running up to Matt Damon films going like, fucking A, this is so cool. Okay? We're not all waiting for the next fucking J-Lo record. Come on, hurry up! Not all of us, most of us, but not all of us. I mean, come on. And so I've been watching all these people speak, and it's incredible to me that the chief of America, the biggest executive in America, has some of the worst speaking skills I have ever heard in my life. One of the most inarticulate people I've ever seen take the mic. And it's interesting that everyone in his cabinet is like 10 times more articulate than he is. Condoleezza Rice, this woman who parted ways with her clitoris at age 6. Well, you can tell she's very uptight, isn't she? She's very reserved. And like, my name is Condoleezza Rice. Nothing is going on below the waist at all. I've read about orgasms. I've never had one. I'm not interested. I'm too busy. Look who I have to deal with every day. Please, don't get me started. And so she's very intense. Colin Powell, Secretary of State, interesting guy. A guy who did not run to the war. Why? Because he's a war veteran. He's been there. He's seen young men bleed out and, watch their intestines fly all over the sand as they screamed for their mother and their God as they bled to death. And so when this thing happened, he went, whoa, 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 Commander-in-Chief, let's not run towards this. I've been out there. You don't want a war. War sucks. And our frat boy president kind of went, this man is running out of time. Off we go. Okay. And off they went. And so I watch all these people, but the main man I watch, my favorite guy, the new Don Rickles of the new century, is Donald Rumsfeld, the rumster, the rumanizer. He is unbelievable to me. A crasser man you'd be hard-pressed to find. A guy with balls the size of baseballs. A guy with cold mercury for blood. There are people underneath this roof tonight who will swear that they don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of them. Could be someone you're sitting next to right now. Do you care what people think of you? I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about me, motherfucker. Fuck you. As soon as you leave the room, did he like me? Did he say my ass looked fat in this? I mean, everyone cares what other people think of them, except for like 3 or 4 people on the entire face of the planet. Donald Rumsfeld is one of those 4 people. He really, 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 really does not give a fuck what you, me, or anyone else thinks about this guy. And recently they asked him, they said, most countries in the world aren't into this preemptive strike on Iraq. What's up with that? I mean, you're going in. It seems like you're going in. It seems like war is inevitable, but hardly any countries want to go in. And he said, you're right, young man. You're absolutely right. Donald Rumsfeld will not spin anything. He meets it head on and disses the guy and manages to disenfranchise and insult more people with fewer words. Oh, I wish I could do it as good as he could. And he said, yes, you're right, young man. There's a few countries in the world who don't want to rid the entire planet of this horrible, bloody dictator, a man who kills his own people, a man who gasses Kurds, a man with obvious links to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. You're absolutely right. Let's see. A few countries come to mind. Libya, Cuba, Germany. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a few. Okay, that crass insult to Germany flew over about 75% of America's heads. I got it. It was like a knife in my rib cage. He basically said Gerhard Schroeder, Chancellor of Germany, is right in bed with Castro and Gaddafi. That is a really crass put down to every single citizen of Germany. That is like, do not walk to the insult booth, pick up the big stuffed animal, you just won the big fucking prize. And incredible. He basically said, oh yeah, Gaddafi and Castro and Schroeder, 3 peas in a pod. It'd be the equivalent of you asking me, so what do you think of Sydney? Oh, Sydney, it's like a day at Auschwitz. You're like, really? Yeah, and the people, they're like commandants at Treblinka. And you'd be like, let's see, that's the one I wanted to use, fuck you. And so he just dissed everyone in Germany. And I don't know if you've ever had a chance to go to Germany. I go to Germany probably more than Rumsfeld goes to Germany, like 1 to 3 times a year, and they're wonderful people. Germany's a great place, and Germany has always been a friend of America and a friend of any ally, and they will continue to be. And when Allied forces get a boo-boo in Baghdad, where do they ship them off to? They ship them off to Ramstein Air Base in Germany to get patched up. So the Germans are our friends, and it's not up to the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America to diss all of Germany. That sucked. And if you want to get in front of a great rock and roll audience, if you're in a band, hurry, go to Germany. Because when you're playing rock and roll music, you're playing away. People are yelling shit at you continually. People in the crowd don't think that they can be heard by the band on stage. People on stage hear every single thing yelled at them. Believe it or not, all the way from the back, you suck. No, I don't. I mean, you can hear everything, one way or the other. And so if people go like, you're old, you're shorter in person, you're very gray, it's not all that inspiring. You're kind of like, I'm really rocking now. But when you go to Germany, they say rock and roll things to you. They say crazy things. You crazy motherfucker! Fill my heart with fire, you rock and roll bastard animal machine! Yeah! You will rock like a bastard if someone says something like that. They're all crowded around our guitar player like this. Jim Wilson, you fill my heart with fire! Jim's playing till his hands are flying off. So the Germans are no enemy of mine. And so I don't appreciate the Secretary of Defense of the United States of America going out and dissing countries that he doesn't go to very often, or even if he never goes to them, he shouldn't be mean to countries like that. And so I just wonder what you all think of America at this point. You must be thinking, God, what a scary, toxic place. Because I know you read the headlines. I know you see the TV shows. You don't sit and watch The Millionaire Show or Anna Nicole Smith or these shows like avidly. You don't sit down like, oh, God damn, I have an hour off. I'm going to watch Jerry Springer. No, fucking A. I'm going to sit down and really watch this. And why don't you? Because you have something to do with your lives, right? So you wouldn't watch this shit. But I do wonder what people think of America. And you have to know, quite honestly, most Americans are really cool. They're like anyone else. They're just trying to get through a very confusing country in very confusing times. America has really intense statistics to deal with. Over 500,000 people die a year of tobacco-related illness. 41,000 traffic fatalities a year, 21,000 suicides a year, 687,000 obesity-related deaths a year. Like 750,000 people in America die fairly needlessly every single year. It's this country with all this really cool stuff, and everyone's dropping like flies. It's kind of weird to live in it, and it's kind of weird to go from that to a place like your place, where it's just this kind of Shangri-La. And I hope that you all don't squander this beautiful paradise that you have. You know I always talk about that. I beg you every fucking year, get the Queen off your money. What the fuck? You're not... You're Australia. You're not part of England. God, you've seen the history, right? They kicked Australians out. You're criminals. You're bad. You got hungry. You stole a loaf of bread. You got to go to this fucked up continent over there. Okay. We'll go in chains in fucked up slave ships. We'll eat kangaroos and nearly decimate half the country's population of them. And then a couple hundred years later, you have Australia and the English have England. Gee, who won that one? And they're still a little pissed off about that. They won't ever admit it, but when you see them kind of, you know, those pallid people still kind of like, where most Australians like, how you going? Like just brimming with vitality. Ha ha! Good on ya. I like it. There's this thing that I quickly wanted to tell you. It's a love story, and it's like I said before. I watch TV, I watch news with my Shakespeare Dr. Strangelove glasses on, and this is the Shakespeare part, because news is drama. And I don't know how many of you have cable access, but I know all of you understand the intense phenomenon of 24-hour news television, like an agency like CNN, who has 24-hour news. You can sit for 24 hours and watch news and information all the time. And so now that a lot of agencies are 24-hour. In America, there's MSNBC, there's CNN, and there's Fox News, and it's 24 hours. Like if you leave the TV on, it'll burn logos into your screen because the shit never quits. And so with about 2 hours of real news a day to actually report, they have to take 2 hours of news and turn it into 24 hours of news. So what they do is they'll take 3 or 4 current images and they'll run them every 7 minutes. And it is propaganda. And I don't have some weird conspiracy theory, but it is propaganda. When you see like the same thing every 7 minutes, well, it'll make you do whatever it's supposed to do. And so I watch this all the time. I'm an avid news watcher when I get a chance, so I want to know what's going on. But I also kind of watch the way the news is cut and edited. It's very interesting. And there's this event that happened, and I'm sure none of you really checked it because well, it's not important to anybody in Australia, but it is an interesting thing that happened. It's a love story that was played out in the American consciousness over a 3 to 6 week period of about 2 months ago. It's the plight of a woman named Clara Harris. Clara Harris is a woman from Texas who ran over her husband with a Mercedes-Benz 3 times. The relevance of this is it was caught on videotape by the private investigator that she had hired to investigate her husband's affair he was having with his receptionist. And so America got to watch this grainy nighttime footage of a Mercedes-Benz sedan going in a clockwise circle, and halfway around the orbit you see the car go boom, boom. Presumably that is the man's rib cage. And the first time they showed it, the footage you're about to see is graphic and may have images that will drive kids even deeper into their Prozac high. Please send your obese little troglodytes trundling to the kitchen for Prozac and Jack Daniels before you let them watch this. Like, hurry up, you little bastard, get over there. And so everyone watched, and myself included. I leaned into the screen like, okay, I'm about to watch a car drive over a man 3 times. Ready, go. And off goes the car, and sure enough, boom, boom. And every single person went, oh, fuck, and started laughing their asses off. Because it is funny, but it's not. The guy got killed, but it's funny as a motherfucker, isn't it? I mean, come on. You can see it in your head. You can see the first tunk, tunk, and all of you be like, oh, fuck, get the fuck out of here. But it's not funny. Someone died. But it is, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? And so anyway, this was shown on news TV like 20 times a day for weeks. So everyone in America knows that Clara Harris is the run-you-over bitch from Texas. And the thing happened like July of last year, but it went to trial a few months ago. So it's all of a sudden it's on television. And so for weeks they kind of get the American news audience salivating by watching this car run over a man. You can watch Mr. Harris die 15 times a day on CNN. And finally it's court trial time, and since OJ, there's always a camera inside an important court case. And so the next video bite that Americans got to see was Clara Harris on the witness stand with her head in her hands telling her sad, sad story. Now what Clara did is something I would not have advised her if I had been her attorney. The lawyer asked her basically to plead dopey woman defense. Okay, not even the most fucked up misogynist thinks women are dopey, okay? And so anybody in here who thinks women are dopey, you are oh so wrong, okay? Women are not dopey. They're not the frail, demure creatures that some men think they are. Some men think that women are like, oh, I could never do that. Oh, I'm just a woman. Oh, I'm so sensitive. Fuck that, okay? Women are barbaric, vulgar creatures. And so Clara went on the stand and pleaded dopey woman defense. And she basically went, well, Your Honor, I was driving in a car, and I was just like driving around and stuff, and I really don't remember where I was because I was just driving, and I did that thing where you make the wheel a turn. I did like a turny turn, and I felt a bump. I went, oh my God, and I just kept driving around. I guess I was making like another turn thing, and it became really kind of fuzzy and dreamy and, you know, kind of creamy and kind of air-filled like the middle of Rosie O'Donnell's head, and I kept driving around, and then I felt another bumpy thing, and then I was making another turny thing, and I felt another bumpy thing, and I stopped the car, and I got out, and I saw this thing in front of the car, and I walked over to it, and it was kind of like husband-like in shape. And I looked at it and oh my God, it was a husband, mine. And my husband was bleeding out of his nose and his mouth, and his eyes were bugging out, and he was breathing really intensely and really rapidly and really shallowly. So I figured he might have been hurt, but I don't know what happened to him. And so I called 911, and the ambulance came, and it was just kind of like a big fluffy dream thing. And the jury and the judge went, right, guilty. Have 20 years in a penitentiary to figure it out. Goodbye, Clara. And she went away, where she now resides in some penitentiary. Now, what you might not know about Texas, where this thing was perpetrated, Texas is a very, very tough place. They have kind of like a weird kangaroo court, and they have a really raw sense of right and wrong, where if they think that you're justified in your homicide, they let you go home. You don't go to jail, you go back home, and they say, sorry for, keeping you in jail those 3 days during your trial. They apologize to you. And so I think if Clara had told the truth, I think if she pleaded differently, her outcome would have been very different. And so, as far as Texas being a rough place to get in trouble, case in point, about 20 years ago, me and the guys in Black Flag, we did a show in Houston. and we were in front of like 80 people, average size crowd, and we did our thing, and they ran out of spit and beer cans, and we ran out of songs, and the show ended. And so I walk off stage, and I'm walking this way towards the backstage, and I'm crunching over cans and cups, and I hear a voice behind me. I hear a male voice say, "Hey, faggot." And I was like, that's so strange. He goes, everyone's gone from this little hot box from hell that we played in, and I'm just walking alone. I hear this voice say, "Hey, faggot." And I'm like, huh? Whatever, keep walking like I care. And then 3 paces later, I hear again, "Hey, faggot." It was just so strange, because there was, that's not really the kind of thing that makes me pissed off to hear. I kind of went, huh? And it wasn't like the guy was like going, "Hey, faggot." It was just like, "Hey, faggot." So I stopped. I was curious now. And I turn around, and there's a man standing in front of me. And he's not like, he's just like kind of standing there. I go, "Oh, hey, how you doing, man? I'm looking for some asshole. Some guy called me a faggot." Was that you? He went, yes. Yes, it was. I go, "You?" He's like, yes, I did. I called you faggot. I went, "Oh, okay." He's like, hit him. 22, hot-headed guy, hit him. He hit the ground, and I grabbed him by the hair on the back of his head, and I started smashing his face into the floor. As you do, and just bashing away, bunga, 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 bunga. And I'm like, on the 5th bunga, I was torn away from the man, and my hands were put behind my back, and I was lifted off the ground and slammed back onto the floor and yoked backwards. And I looked behind me. 2 very large Texas policemen have, grabbed me. And one of them goes like, "What the hell are you doing?" Well, you know me. If I know the answer to a question, I will answer in clipped Boy Scout fashion with not a trace of irony. So I'm like, "I'm kicking this man's ass." Why lie? And so he goes, "I can see that. Why the hell are you doing it?" Like, yes, motivation, of course. He called me a faggot. He did what? He called me a faggot. Twice. I feel the grip on my arms loosen. "That sumbitch down there called you a faggot?" "Yes, officer." I'm released from the grip, brushed off. The cop on my right shoulder apologizes. "Did I yoke you up too hard, buddy?" He starts rubbing my shoulder. I'm like, I'm fine. "Well, partner, you go to your dressing room. You have a good night. We'll take care of this guy." I went, "Well, with all due respect, officer, there's nothing to take care of. He shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. We're just 2 dumb guys on a Tuesday night in Houston. I apologize. He apologizes. Let us go. Son, you have a good night. You go to your dressing room. You can tell by the smile on my face, I hate you too." And I'm like, I see where you're coming from. And I just got the fuck out of there. And so I walked to the dressing room. I looked behind me to see the cop go, "Call me a faggot." Come on, say it. Say it, you little son of a bitch. Say it. That's Texas, okay? So now you know where I'm coming from. And so I think if Clara had gone on the stand and told the truth and nothing but the truth, that she was not an angry woman, that she was a woman in love who got put down by her man. Here's a little back history on Clara and her husband of 10 years, the deceased Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris told her, "You're fat, you're boring, you're uninteresting, and I don't like the way your breasts look. So I want you to get a boob job, I want you to go to the gym, I want you to quit your job so you can cook more and have more sex with me, otherwise this marriage is over." And so you know what she did? She did all of that stuff. She went to the gym, she quit her job, she tried to be more interesting because she tried to keep the marriage together. This guy thoroughly insults her, puts her down, humiliates her, and she comes back with total devotion to this motherfucker. Then she finds out through, with the aid of the private detective, that in spite of all these improvements she's trying to make to herself, that he is sleeping around with his receptionist. And so that's why she did what she did. She got mad because she was in love with this man who's mean to her. And some of you guys have been in a relationship with a woman where the woman loved you. Some of you have been in a situation where a woman really likes you a lot. Then it crosses the line and it turns into love. Men cannot handle that very well because men are sometimes very lightweight with their emotions. Women, on the other hand, rarely fuck around with that kind of thing. When they love you, it is really intense. When a guy loves a woman, he just basically likes her a whole lot. When a woman loves a man, it is like so intense. It's like an unsmiling, grim affair. Like, I like you, I love you. I love you now. I love you. Stay here, sit down. I love you. I want your seed. I want you in me. I want children. Sit down. Buy a round vehicle. We're going to be taking children to soccer practice soon. Stay here. Don't travel. Don't go. Why? I love you. Stay. Come here. It's like, that's why a lot of men run away from that, because women don't fuck around. And when you break that trust, when you disenfranchise a woman who's in love with you, they don't go, oh, darn, they weren't kidding. And when you fuck them up like that, they don't go, oh, well, I guess I'll just go over here. They get really mad. They get in their car. They go driving. And so I think if Clara told the truth to the judge and jury, she would have got a very different outcome with her verdict. If she went in there and went, Your Honor, members of the jury and members of the court, I loved this motherfucker for 10 years. I would comb his back hair every day to get him into his t-shirt. My husband told me I was fat and stupid and boring and uninteresting, and he didn't like the way my breasts looked. So, folks, I went to change all that so I could be a better wife to this guy. And in spite of all these improvements I'm making, this motherfucker started sleeping with his receptionist instead of sleeping with me. You're goddamn right I got in a car, and I ran him over 3 times. 1 time to kill him, and 2 more times because it felt so fucking good. Can I get an amen from the jury? Hell yeah! And the jury would have been, God damn, you go! And the judge would have been banging his gavel going, fuck yeah! And she would have gone home that afternoon, okay? Now, if she went home that afternoon, how quickly do you want to bet she would have got her own 1/2 hour show on TV? Start Your Engines with Clara Harris, kind of like a talk show for women who are having problems with their man. She would have been an icon for women everywhere who've been like fucked over by their man and they just weren't going to take it anymore and they were so in love they showed that man something, and women could put her face up on the wall and say, see that motherfucker? That's Clara Harris right there, motherfucker, get the fuck in there. And so, pretty cool. And how much do you want to bet if she had not gone to prison, she would have gotten her own Mercedes-Benz ad? Because she was driving like whatever they call it, like the SL 500 at the time, and I've already come up with the ad. Okay, you know, think about this. Here's the ad. It's a typical car commercial, $1 million a minute. Typical beautiful morning, cloudless blue sky, sun is coming up. We are at an airport. We are using an unused runway, and the car is coming out of the left frame, running down the hose down tarmac. Whoa, beautiful silver SL 500 in the new morning light. Yeah, and it's driving up towards something. It looks like a long lump in the road. What is it? We're curious. The camera pushes in, and we see that the car is driving towards 35 Caucasian male mannequins dressed exactly as the deceased Mr. Harris was on the night he was run over, and they're lying on the ground shoulder to shoulder. What is going on? It looks like human beings. Is this car possibly going to run these people over? Yes, it is. And the car goes right into the mannequins, and these are breakaway mannequins, so heads and arms are flying in beautiful slow motion going through the air with rainwater flying off. And we're like, wow, that's really intense. Look, there goes an arm, there goes a leg, there goes Mr. Harris again and again and again. And now the next camera shot, the point of view is from the back seat looking over the shoulder of the driver out the windshield. And so we see it's obviously a woman from the hair and the shoulder. And why are we looking out the front of the car? We are zooming in, we're pushing in. What are we looking at? We are looking at a glass of mineral water that is sitting on the dashboard, sitting so calmly, not even the meniscus of the water is vibrating in the least. Such is the superior suspension of the new SL 500 by Mercedes-Benz. So we pull back out again because we got to get back to that beautiful wide shot because we're looking at this, you know, plastic carnage, limbs akimbo, flying all over the place. We push back in again. The car's making one of those beautiful peeling hockey stops. goes right up to the designated mark. We push in, close up on the driver. It's Clara Harris. She looks at us, she winks, she grabs the mineral water, she drains it, she puts the glass back on the dashboard, and she peels out of frame. And the tag says, Mercedes-Benz, motherfucker. There you go.